This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Izaguirre in Dallas, and here are your top stories from North Texas. We begin with rising tensions over immigration enforcement. Minnesota has become a flashpoint again as new protests erupted after an ICE agent shot a man last night. And as Kevin Reese reports, officials say agents have been attacked in North Texas as well.
He's not been located yet. And
in the back corner of the Dallas ICE parking lot, in the same path bullets flew here back in September. Prosecutors wanted to show us a damaged minivan
related to a violent vehicle ramming attack.
An ICE officer's van damaged December 1st when they tried to capture a construction worker named Hersan Lopez Sanchez, a native of Honduras who the FBI says had been removed from the U.S. before. They say he rammed the ICE van with his truck in Louisville and eventually escaped that morning on foot.
If we make it okay for people to not adhere to the commands of law enforcement, I think it creates a danger not just for our law enforcement officers, which we are concerned about. It creates a danger to everyone in the area, including potential innocent people.
When asked why now, 6 weeks after the incident and 1 week after the fatal shooting of Renee Good in Minnesota, the U.S. attorney said this.
There clearly are assaults on officers. This is an example, and it is happening. And we determined that now was the time to go public with this information in an effort to try and further this investigation.
A lot of this is sometimes low-hanging fruit.
Sandra Avalos is a community organizer. Her tent pitched at the back entrance to the Dallas ICE parking lot. She says even the immigrants or asylum seekers she tries to help are being detained and deported even if they've committed no crime.
Because of the political climate, the verbiage that's being utilized against the immigrant community, I mean, we feel like we're under attack, and that unfortunately the worst imaginable is happening.
The U.S. attorney says Hersan Lopez Sanchez did not have any criminal warrants until this incident, and now a $15,000 FBI reward is offered for anyone who can help find him again. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
Kevin Reese reporting. A woman is describing what it was like to be mauled after an unrestrained pit bull clamped down on her face. Her recovery is just beginning, and she's learning to live with severe injuries. She was out for a walk in Oak Cliff on Marfa Avenue and Lancaster Road. And we should warn you, some of these injuries are graphic. Matt Howerton just spoke with her right after she was released from the hospital.
Tony Hudson leaning on family right now.
This is really, really hard
because her reflection much different than it was a week ago.
I'm not me no more, and it's,
It was January 7th. Hudson was walking to get breakfast here in Oak Cliff near Marfa when an unleashed pit bull left its yard and turned on her.
The dog ain't on the chain or nothing. He ran out the gate when he attacked me.
The dog taking Hudson to the ground by her leg, breaking some of her teeth, and then
he beat me from right here to right here, and he shook me down, just shaking my face. That happened for like 3 to 5 minutes.
Hudson shielding her neck during an attack she says lasted around 10 minutes. The dog latching onto her finger while a passerby and a driver, horn blaring, tried to stop it.
Now it snapped his finger in half, so my finger was like this, hanging to the side.
The owner eventually arriving, but the damage was done. This a photo after the attack. Hudson's mouth dangling to its side, her finger going the opposite direction.
This dog didn't bite me, this dog was eating me.
Hudson spent 5 days in the hospital, her face and finger repaired by surgeons at Methodist Dallas Medical Center on Colorado.
They actually had a heart for me, and they cared. They really did care.
The 31-year-old touched by their compassion, especially when one surgeon told her this.
You're not ugly. He said that it'll go away. I don't have no insurance. That man was there every day checking on me.
Hudson says she was notified by Dallas Animal Services that the dog was put down. Her face, her hand, her leg, still numb. Doctors say recovery could take a year, counseling, dental work, and she shudders to think what might have happened if someone smaller had been there. In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
One city west of Fort Worth is growing so fast it had to form a police department for the first time. Brittany Costello just checked in with the Aledo PD to see the force they're building from the ground up.
For the first time in Aledo history, Police Chief Carol Riddle has her own office. It's part of the city's very first police department.
Knowing the potential growth that it could be coming down to Aledo, it really was, now is the perfect time to do this.
It's starting to take shape inside the city's new municipal complex. It now houses the library, council chambers, and the office for new city manager Candace Edmondson.
Well, growth is happening, and you cannot prevent it. And so what Aledo has to do, what us as city leaders have to do, is come up with a way to thoughtfully manage that growth.
She says the draw to Parker County is simple.
Aledo ISD is a very well-known, respected school district, both academically and athletically, and people want that strong community, value-centered place to call home.
Close to the Metroplex with space to spare for now. It's why Riddle says it's a good time to introduce her new agency, logos, and police cars. The department will start with 5 police officers. Riddle says 4 seasoned officers have been hired and are training right now.
The officers are really excited to be here. They're excited to be out in the community, but it really is a partnership
to build what she calls a safer community that's ready for the growth to come.
We do have a lot of developers interested in developing. We need to meet with them, kind of understand the dynamics of their development, how it'll fit into the current character of Aledo.
The first 4 police officers are expected to start patrolling the week of January 26th, but the department is planning for continued growth with a goal of 10 police officers by year 3. In Aledo, I'm Brittany Costello.
North Texas is going to be a central hub for the FIFA World Cup. We're hosting 9 matches, the most of any other city. And today a White House task force was here to check in on security measures for the massive event. Here's Richard Solomon.
So we're just 4 months away before the world turns its eyes to North Texas for the FIFA World Cup. And today, top White House security executives toured AT&T Stadium, and they spoke with us, reassuring that safety is top of mind. In June, 11 cities across America will welcome people from all over the world. But this week, that moment felt a little closer here in Arlington.
But the safety and security, to me, that is the key part of this.
Dr. Andrew Giuliani leads the effort to make sure everything from security to infrastructure to the fan experience runs smoothly.
We don't want the story to be about a security incident that either happens in the stadium or somewhere else.
As preparations ramp up, so do the questions. And one topic quickly rose to the surface: immigration enforcement. When asked whether ICE agents or Homeland Security would be present in matches, Giuliani responded.
I know that Secretary Noem and President Trump don't take everything off the table. I'm not going to comment on what the security footprint is going to look like, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure the venues are safe.
We weren't allowed to go on the tour, but Arlington's police chief says planning has been happening for a long time.
We've been doing big events in Arlington for a long time. It's about making sure that you're not committing crimes, because those are the folks who we're really going after.
Over in Dallas, police say they're expecting roughly 35,000 people a day at the Fan Fest at Fair Park, and the FBI will be in charge of security. With the world watching, leaders say the goal is simple. The focus stays on the game, not security. An official with the Dallas Sports Commission also told us we'll learn where countries will be placed for their base camps later this month or early February. For now in Arlington this evening, I'm Richard Solomon. Back to you.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Hello there, Mia Grandy here with a look at what's making headlines in Houston, starting with a Katy area couple shot and killed inside their home. We are now hearing from their adult children who were upstairs and heard noises but say they never expected to find their parents dead. Here's Jason Miles.
Christina Rayson and her brother Jonathan didn't want to speak on camera, but shared photos with me of them with their parents, Christopher Lopez and Trinette Rayson Lopez. The couple fatally shot early Monday inside their Bent Springs Lane home near Katy.
I had a lot of family support, and so it has been really hard, but we're trying to stay strong.
According to the medical examiner's office, Mr. Lopez was shot in the face while his wife was shot twice in the head.
I know there were multiple shots, but I heard one, so it might have been the last one, but I heard one big shot.
Do you have any idea who could have been responsible for this?
We do. The police do have a suspect, but they're asking us to keep everything under wraps until they have more concrete evidence so it doesn't taint the investigation.
The children say their parents were high school sweethearts and dispute speculation that some sort of ex might be involved. Additionally, they tell me a 7-year-old inside the house at the time is an adopted cousin, not a foster child, as initially reported. They say taking in family members was nothing new for their mom and dad.
Great parents. Our mom was always there. She was everyone else's mom, you know. People would reach out to her. Multiple of my friends, you know, call her mom because she's so caring.
Christina and Jonathan say their family home since the year 2000 won't be the same. And right now, they don't want to return until an arrest is made.
We're not comfortable going home. We're going to stay low-key until he's caught.
Reporting near Katy, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
A warning now from federal prosecutors. They say 4 Houston rideshare drivers turned into predators, kidnapping and sexually assaulting passengers. In a crackdown called Operation Lighthouse, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas says his office identified 4 former Uber drivers accused in 5 separate sexual assaults of passengers. Officials say 3 of the suspects are now in custody, but Abdu Mbake remains on the loose.
All 4 drivers allegedly kidnapped their passengers either by diverting from their intended route or prevented the victims from leaving the rideshare vehicle. This was done for the purposes of sexually assaulting their passengers.
Officials say all 4 suspects face life in prison if convicted, and they're asking anyone who believes they have been victimized by any rideshare driver or passenger to contact the FBI. Tenants at a familiar Houston apartment complex say they are still living without basic necessities despite promises from new management. They claim hot water problems persist and security issues are putting residents at risk. Tracy Bragg went back to the Tremonti apartment complex to press for answers and has a look at what renters can do if repairs are not made.
If this apartment complex looks familiar, it's because we've been to the Tremonti apartments before. Billed to residents as luxury living, neighbors tell us in reality there have been increasing problems.
We haven't had adamant hot water in the last 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
It's been 6 weeks.
I mean, how are you dealing with it at this point?
We're in survival mode.
This resident, who asked not to be identified for fear of retaliation, says after we first reached out to the property owner earlier this month, the complex's management team responded by sending emails claiming hot water had been restored. Residents say not so fast.
Now they're saying it's fixed, but some apartments still does not have hot water.
The resident says the hot water isn't the only issue she and her neighbors are dealing with. She says they're also dealing with what she calls a safety issue.
The key fob's not working, the gates are not closing or they're not opening. Anybody can walk in. We have strange dogs coming in. At one while we had homeless men living on the property, setting off the fire alarms.
She says it's just another example of many problems she and other residents have faced and still face at the Tremonti.
I bet they have hot water at their homes. I bet their security gates work.
Fighting for solutions, we took her concerns to the new management team. They shared a statement that reads in part, all residents are receiving hot water service. However, there are still a small number that are not up to our standards of satisfaction. Contractors remain engaged as needed to complete final adjustments.
Get it together.
Legal experts say this is a good reminder for any of the roughly 60% of Houstonians who rent. Their advice, if you find yourself in a similar situation, you do have rights. If a landlord refuses to fix an issue, you can take them to court to force them to make repairs or to pay for damages, but only after you send them a certified letter requesting the repairs. Another key factor, you must continue to pay rent to maintain your rights. If you don't, you could forfeit your leverage in court. In Southwest Houston, Trace and Bragg, KHOU 11 News.
If you've ever gotten back from the store only to realize you forgot the one thing you actually needed, Walmart is working on a solution in Houston, allowing customers to get items delivered by drone. Katira Winfrey joins us from Cypress with more on the first launch.
Houston, we have liftoff. The first commercial drone deliveries have begun through a partnership with Walmart and Wing. Behind Dallas and Atlanta, Houston is on deck.
I think this is a great sign to the times of what to expect in the future.
Houston's growing population, representatives say, is ideal for a lunch like this. Consumers, often time-starved, are looking for quicker deliveries. Those in eligible delivery zones can expect their items within a 30-minute window.
Houston is a very forward-thinking city and a very forward-thinking area.
The drones can't deliver your weekly grocery haul, but can deliver 50% of what Walmart carries, like snacks, cold medicine, veggies, and ground meat. The drone drops down a hook. The hex tot is attached before takeoff.
It's just innovation.
Carried in specially designed cases to withstand the air, light wind, and rain.
A lot of people still think that drone delivery is, you can hear it taking off in the background, is like the Jetsons, you know, that it's just futuristic.
There's a lot of technological elements that will get this 12-pound drone to your home. It uses AI to map out routes and can communicate with other drones to ensure airspace is safe, but it can also manually adjust if it comes across an obstacle while trying to make a delivery. Wing and Walmart are in the middle of a massive expansion. When it's done, this service will be available at 270 locations from coast to coast. Jesus Garcia says perhaps this is the first step to broader drone deliveries, but can already see the value today.
I think it's a great thing for Houston itself.
Reporting in Cypress, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
The future is now. And with that, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Mia Gradney.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Well, Texas weather Friday and really through the weekend will be a tale of cold mornings and then relatively mild afternoons considering it is January. These are high temperatures forecast for the next 3 days. El Paso in the 60s for high temps. That's nice. Lubbock, your coldest afternoon is Saturday afternoon, high of 44. It'll be windy and chilly day, but you've seen worse during January. Dallas, same thing. Coldest day is going to be Saturday, high of 47. And then Austin, highs in the 60s and 50s. Friday is a mild day in Houston, 72. Then it's chilly for Houston, high temps in the 50s Saturday, Sunday. A little warmer down in the valley in South Texas. But it will get cold and we will see a freeze, especially across most of the state going into Sunday morning in the wake of this cold front. So here's Friday afternoon. Fronts pushing through North Texas by then. Gusty wind, Dallas, Abilene, Lubbock, Amarillo by Friday afternoon. Still mild south of the front, Houston, Corpus, San Antonio, McAllen, but it doesn't last long. The front pushes through, winds all come out of the north, and by Saturday morning, it's pretty chilly across the state. We'll look at temperatures in a second. No significant rain with that frontal passage. Saturday morning is dry, breezy, and chilly. We get into Saturday afternoon, and that north breeze will be blowing all day. Rain down deep South Texas and off the Texas coast, little disturbance riding out into the Gulf. Overall, Texas dry through Saturday. That's 6 p.m. on Saturday. I'm taking into Sunday morning, and it's winds eventually turn southwest by Sunday early afternoon, but in the morning, winds are going to be light, and that'll be the coldest morning, clear and cold Sunday morning. First, the wind. These are forecast gusts Friday afternoon. In the wake of the front, gusting to 24 Waco, gusting to near 30 in Austin, gusting to 27 San Antonio. That's early to mid-afternoon on Friday. You see the winds still out of the south, Corpus, Port Lavaca, Friday afternoon. Then we'll get into Friday evening, and then the front's pushing further south. So Port Lavaca, winds turn around to the north, that gusting to 30 along the coast there. San Antonio north at 23, Cotulla north at 23. That'll be the chilly air coming in for the weekend across the state. Man, we do need some rain. It's been a while since we've had significant rain. We get literally none now through the weekend. Just dry, cold, continental air coming in from off the mainland United States. Nothing coming off the Gulf, nothing coming over from the Pacific. Temperatures. So Friday afternoon is interesting. Starting to get chilly and breezy. Dallas, Abilene, Lubbock, San Angelo, Midland. Still rather warm. Houston 73, Victoria 75, Harlingen 78, Spotted 79. Friday afternoon. Tale of two halves of the state. And we'll go into Saturday morning. That's the cold air coming in. These are morning lows. Abilene 25, San Angelo 23. Dallas a light freeze at 31, Amarillo 15, Marfa 22. So cold Saturday morning, and then temps to rebound above freezing really across the state. 47 San Angelo, Austin 53, San Antonio high of 54, Marfa 58, Houston makes 52 Saturday afternoon. And then we get a radiational freeze, so light winds, cold dry air in place, clear skies, and temps drop down. San Antonio 29 Sunday morning, Austin 27. Even Houston gets a light freeze at 31, Victoria 29. So Lubbock 23, Midland 26. So cold mornings, but relatively mild afternoons, considering it's January. You need a sweater and jacket, but sunglasses with the sun coming out and making things mild each afternoon. That's where we stand, Texas. Back to you.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. We've all heard of Uber, but what about Hood Uber? These rides around town are unregulated, and last night a driver was shot while on the job. The shooting happened near Woodlawn Lake Park. Reporter Zach Briggs tells us how it happened.
So if you hop onto Facebook and search Hood Uber, you'll find local groups where people are offering or looking for rides. It's unregulated and has no direct ties to the real Uber company. Meantime, the 27-year-old driver in this incident last night is recovering in the hospital after being shot in the shoulder. Officers responded to the 2000 block of West Laurel Street near Calabria Road around 9 p.m. According to police, the driver of this Nissan Altima was shot by his passenger who refused to pay for his trip. This was after the passenger got out of the car, which made the driver think he was just looking for money. All police could tell us about the suspect is that he's a man in his 30s, and we have the victim. He's being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. I'm Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
A fugitive wanted on 9 felony warrants was arrested after a multi-agency operation. And now we're learning how investigators were able to capture him. Vanessa Croy is breaking down the charges.
Police say Anthony Ibarra targeted a FEMA trailer, stealing supplies and equipment meant for flood rescue and recovery efforts in Kerrville. And investigators say it was just one stop in a crime spree that spanned months, racking in more than $16,000 worth of stolen items.
Our cameras were rolling as a multi-agency task force closed in, ending a months-long crime spree and taking a fugitive wanted on 9 felony warrants into custody. Police identify the suspect as 26-year-old Anthony Ibarra. From July to December, he's accused of targeting a Northside sports complex over and over, getting away with thousands of dollars in power tools and electronics. But that wasn't his only target. Police say Ibarra broke into a FEMA trailer, storing generators and supplies meant for rescue and recovery efforts after the deadly 4th of July floods in Kerr County. According to an arrest warrant, Ibarra dropped one of the stolen items and police were able to pull fingerprints. But Ibarra was still on the run. Then police say he hit a business in Balcones Heights and robbed a man at gunpoint at a medical center hotel. After a Crime Stoppers bulletin was issued, tips came pouring in, naming Ibarra as the suspect. So when he went back to the sports complex in December, officers had the evidence they needed to arrest him and caught Ibarra red-handed. But he took off running and disappeared into the night. Police, though, continued their manhunt. And on New Year's Day near I-10 in Vance Jackson, multiple law enforcement agencies joined together and made their move. Ibarra tried to run again, but officers say this time he didn't get far and was finally hauled off in cuffs.
Tonight, Anthony Ibarra is facing a long list of charges, including burglary and aggravated robbery. Reporting near downtown, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
Volunteers with Planned Parenthood of South Texas picked up paintbrushes on Thursday to fight against the state mandate to remove art projects from public spaces. They installed a new crosswalk at their northwest side location and say more are on the way. Sue Kalberg visits with the artists.
Volunteers with Planned Parenthood say they're going to make sure rainbows continue to sprout around town.
I think you can't have one without the other, resilience and resistance. Especially now, I think this is more of an act of resistance when, you know, the city is being threatened to lose millions of dollars in transportation funds.
With public art projects disappearing across the state, officials with the local Planned Parenthood say they have a duty to speak up on behalf of communities being silenced.
I'm really proud of San Antonio as far as showing up and showing out for the queer community.
The painters say it's about pride and joy.
We need community and to celebrate.
Plus, we're funny people, but I think everybody enjoys each other's company too. And we need the support of community.
Oh my gosh, I think the vibe is super fun.
They say the goal is paint rainbows at all their local locations and in the Rio Grande Valley.
They're still recruiting volunteers for the next phase of this art project at KENS5.com. You'll find that link. In Northwest San Antonio, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
San Antonio city leaders have approved a land purchase tied directly to the Spurs' future. The unanimous vote clears the path for a multi-use district near Hemisphere. City Council approved the acquisition of a federal office building and adjacent property. Officials say it'll set the stage for years of development. Meredith Haas explains what happens now.
The motion passes.
City Council approved the $30 million purchase of this federal office building and the surrounding lots at 727 East Cesar Chavez by the Spurs, a 5.7-acre site that's expected to become part of a larger mixed-use development, but not before clear understanding that the public's needs come first.
I do expect that whatever is developed here helps us achieve our goals and is not just some ultra-luxury apartment, set of condos.
Other council members raising the same concern, prompting Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones to push for a delay to allow for more public input.
I think it's important in the interest of public transparency that we go through the full process.
A request that was not seconded by council. Unanimously, council voted to push the approval to purchase through.
And we need to ensure with this transaction, whatever gets built on that property, if the offer is approved, is accessible to all. The process includes ensuring that we reach out to homeless service providers to see if this property is fit for homeless services and or shelter.
The land will be paid for by the Spurs, and it's slated to include housing, businesses, and office space, all tied to the team's future home near Hemisphere. Councilwoman Terry Castillo says they plan to stay on top of every plan made to ensure the move benefits the community.
Is that council continues to get into the weeds of each of these definitive documents and prioritize public access and, of course, affordability.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A 30-year-old man facing serious charges connected to a toddler with severe injuries was just granted a reduced bond. 2-year-old Coulter is still recovering from a skull fracture from his forehead to the back of his head, a brain bleed, 11 fractures to his back, swelling in his neck, and a busted lip. Sydney Walker spoke with the boy's dad about his concerns on their path to justice.
A toddler, beaten, and the man accused, who sits behind bars, is a step closer to going home.
I mean, it doesn't feel good, obviously.
Kevin Pruitt, Coulter's dad, said it was a blow.
It just feels like he's kind of going to get away with this.
It stems from an incident on December 14th. Bell County Sheriff's deputies were notified that a toddler was being treated at McLean Children's Hospital for life-threatening injuries.
It was nerve-wracking when all the doctors said what they said.
Thomas Anthony Jones, Coulter's mom's boyfriend at the time, blamed it on a fall off the bed, according to the arrest affidavit.
I mean, he did say the guy did hit him in the face.
Doctors say it was more than a fall.
You wouldn't have the 11 fractures to the back, the fractured skull and the brain bleeding and all that stuff with one fall like that.
Jones's original bond, totaled at $500,000, was lowered to $300,000.
Honestly, it was just nerve-wracking. I didn't like it at all. I didn't think that it was going to upset me as bad as it did.
Causing Pruitt to lose some hope.
Being on house arrest or whatever, but it's probably going to be, years. And of course, this stuff, it's going to settle down. The hype behind it's going to settle down. So who knows?
But Coulter's progress keeps him going.
He's playing. He's excited. He's kind of bouncing off the wall. So you got to be careful, because you don't understand. He went back to his old self, I feel like.
To Coulter's dad, the next steps are clear.
Can't see him not being took in court, he didn't hung himself as far as the evidence.
But all they can do is wait.
And it just depends on the judge that you get and see if they got any kind of heartstrings for little kids getting abused like that.
As of now, Jones remains in the Bell County Jail. If he bails out, he will be GPS monitored with restrictions limiting him to work, his mother's home, his attorney, and court. And more news, advocates for former patients of suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Blaine McGraw brought their fight for accountability to Capitol Hill this week. Shield of Sisters and the Cobos law firm traveled to Washington with 4 survivors to meet with lawmakers and demand systemic change. They spent several days on Capitol Hill meeting with members of Congress from both sides of the aisle. And Juliana Jackson has more on their push for reform in the military.
It's not a partisan issue. This is a human issue.
Shield of Sisters and the Cobos law firm brought 4 survivors to Capitol Hill to share their stories with members of Congress. The group met with senators, House representatives, and the Democratic Women's Caucus.
We told them there's nothing you can do until we start holding commanders and perpetrators accountable, just like we would on the civilian side.
The groups are recommending 3 pieces of legislation aimed at preventing future cases of military sexual trauma. The proposed changes would make chaperones mandatory during medical exams. They would also expand the definition of MST to include family members and DoD civilians. They would hold commanders accountable for transferring problem service members without resolving issues internally.
This is about building a strong military, a united military, a military where service members and spouses can feel safe at the bases they call home.
Suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Major Blaine McGraw faces 54 specifications for indecent visual recording and other charges involving 44 alleged victims at Fort Hood. Andrew Cobos says his firm has filed a motion for default judgment against McGraw after he failed to respond to their civil lawsuit. They've also submitted Federal Tort Claims Act cases seeking compensation for clients from the Army.
The Army's been silent. They have not shared information about when McGraw was investigated, about what reports had been filed on McGraw, about what their knowledge of Dr. McGraw's abuses have been over this time period.
Shannon Huff with Shield of Sisters says 1 in 3 women in the military experience sexual trauma. The advocates say they won't stop fighting for accountability and transparency.
We're not done until the last person says, I'm the last one who was assaulted in the military.
McGraw remains in pretrial confinement at the Bell County Jail. The advocates say their mission won't end until the military takes real action to protect service members and their families. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Cameron Burchett. A downtown Beaumont landmark is making a comeback. Work is continuing at the Gilbert Building nearly 2 years after a major fire. Beaumont business owners Chris Richardson and Rob Fugitive bought the building from Tom Flanagan more than a year after the fire. The two are renovating the building to house offices and businesses. It's work they say will preserve the historic character. Chris Robertson says they hope to start with the roof. They say it's all aimed at bringing new life back to downtown Beaumont, a welcome move for Mayor West.
For a long time, it was a symbol of neglect. And so to me, what I'm so excited about is it is a symbol of progress now. People can see the progress that has been made. And although it is a relatively slow process, they have been making great strides.
Richardson told 12 News they hope to have construction done and moving in by January 1st, 2027. January is Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. It spotlights the growing health risks firefighters face long after the flames are out. Recent research shows that firefighters face significantly higher cancer risk. 12 News reporter Spencer Plato spoke to one fire chief who says his department takes precautions to limit exposure.
Beaumont Fire Chief Earl White says he's a cancer survivor himself. He says this month means a lot as cities and unions work together to reduce exposure risk that firefighters face on the job.
If a firefighter in the state of Texas does receive cancer, it's presumed that it was because of the job.
Firefighters battle smoke and flames, but another threat follows them back to the station.
Firefighters respond to fires, of course, the products of combustion, even in a normal house fire. People forget that there's plastics and other things that give off cancer-causing agents.
There have been recent concerns about the risk they face inside the stations.
These carcinogens that are our firefighters are being exposed to in the stations are caused by diesel exhaust fumes that are emitted from the fire engine's exhaust and blown directly into the living quarters of our fire stations.
The city has installed exhaust removal systems in fire stations 8, 10, and 14, and now has plans to install one in Station 4.
And these are the actual sensors that actually will kick the air vac on when the doors are triggered.
A new study from the American Cancer Society found that firefighters have higher death rates from skin cancer than non-firefighters and a 40% increased risk of kidney cancer. Beaumont Professional Firefighters Union President Jeff Neeson says it's important to do screenings.
Cancer screening should be performed on our firefighters to determine early detection for these firefighters to make sure that we catch it as soon as possible.
While the fires may be out, the fight for firefighters continues.
We're trying to provide everything that we possibly can on being proactive to limit their exposure.
Chief White says the department has already taken steps to reduce exposure to toxic materials with equipment that allows firefighters to clean gear immediately and regular professional cleanings through outside vendors. In studio, Spencer Plato, 12 News.
Governor Greg Abbott has appointed John Burt as the new Jasper County District Attorney. Burt previously served as the county's first assistant criminal district attorney with additional experience in Newton County and leadership education in Beaumont. He's now officially in the role. In Power City news, state regulators have fined 3 Southeast Texas companies for air quality violations in Jefferson and Orange County. In Beaumont, Nat Gasoline will pay more than $800,000. It comes after the TCEQ found the company failed to test equipment on time, filed incorrect reports, and released more pollution than allowed. Also in Beaumont, Goodyear received a fine of just over $21,000. Regulators say the company did not keep an air monitor working properly and allowed an accidental chemical release in 2023. And in Orange County, Invista was fined nearly $150,000 for releasing more chemicals into the air than its permits allow. It was a night full of celebration over in Mustang Nation. West Orange Stark remembered an incredible football season with a community pep rally. Take a look. Fans, students, and community members packed G&G Enterprises Arena to recognize the Mustangs' standout season. The football team entered the state game riding an impressive streak after defeating several tough opponents along the way. The Mustangs made a deep playoff run, ending their season in a hard-fought championship loss to Carthage. Congratulations to the Mustangs on a successful season. And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. We're learning more about immigration enforcement operations that took place across Hays County Thursday. They centered around the cities of Kyle and Buda. Hays County leaders tell KVUE at least one person was injured while they were being arrested by federal agents. Residents posted video and photos to a website that advocacy groups have used to track immigration enforcement online called ICE Out. They show federal authorities detaining people. You can also see an ambulance in the video. Kyle police say federal authorities called for one after a person was hurt while being detained by federal agents. Their injuries were severe enough that first responders did take that person to the hospital under the escort of federal agents. Kyle police, Buda police, and the Hays County Sheriff's Office all say that they were no part of this operation. Local advocacy group Mano Amiga says that after the ICE operations, there is a lot of fear in the community.
And that's not just the immigrant families, that's all families. All community members are afraid and fearful. Everyone is scared. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And just like the incident that happened in Minnesota, we don't know who's safe, documented or undocumented.
Hays County Judge Ruben Becerra was asked if ICE was welcome in his county. He says that he wants peace and to follow the Constitution, but what ICE is doing isn't useful for peace. He also pointed to a resolution the county passed in June urging police to humanely treat immigrants who are not here legally. He says if ICE can't follow that, then they should not be here and that those agents should not wear badges. We reached out to ICE to ask them about their operations in Hays County. A spokesperson for the agency said they were looking into it, but we have not heard back. Meanwhile, in Austin, city leaders say they want clarification about how Austin police officers interact with ICE. On January 5th, APD says officers responded to a 911 call about a disturbance in Southwest Austin. And one person they talked to at that location had an administrative warrant that had been issued by ICE. APD says officers did not ask that person for their legal status, but notified ICE about the warrant. Advocates with grassroots leadership say that led to a 5-year-old girl and her mother being deported to Honduras. Under current APD policy, officers are required by law to comply with immigration detainer requests, but there's no guidance about addressing administrative warrants. So council members say there needs to be clarity.
They're not arrest warrants that are signed by a judge that give us a power to actually arrest and detain someone. They're administrative documents internal to ICE. So when the federal government started putting all those in the database, it's caused a lot of confusion as to what are these documents, what are our obligations under them, what are we supposed to do?
In a memo sent to council members, APD Chief Lisa Davis said the department is looking at its general orders and will update its policy. The Austin Public Library's used bookstore called Recycled Reads is closing its doors this week. The move comes as the city works to address a multi-million-dollar budget shortfall. As the storefront closed, the officials say that the city will shift to a new citywide model. Brianna Perez shares what's next for the program and what you can expect.
There's some mourning, I suppose, because they've built memories in here.
Empty shelves and heavy hearts. A beloved Austin bookstore is turning its final page this week. Since 2009, the Recycled Reads bookstore has sat on Burnett Road, keeping books out of landfills and giving them a second life.
Many of them have expressed growing up and having their parent bring them here, and now they're adults and they had partaken of the treasures found here to take teachers to their classrooms, parents to their own kids.
As the city works to close a multi-million-dollar budget gap, and with the store's costs now outweighing its revenue, library leaders say they plan to pivot once the lease is up in March.
With the upcoming end of the lease on this space, we used it as an opportunity to reimagine the program as a system-wide program to give people throughout Austin an opportunity to access materials.
Shelves that were once full are now starting to look bare as they get ready to transition to their new citywide model. But library leaders say not to worry. Inventory will soon be distributed to other city libraries and ready for purchase come February.
Depending on size, each Recycle Reads section will look different at each public library, but officials hope it will essentially expand access. Still, library leaders say the connections and memories built here will be hard to say goodbye to.
We had lots of finds, lots of unique stuff that would come. People started to build friendships or know each other. And that's what the space brought, and that is something that will be greatly missed.
As a send-off, Recycle Reads invites the community to a farewell celebration staff are holding Saturday. In Austin, Brianna Bettis, KVUE News.
A school district temporarily closed because there are so many kids out sick with the flu. Bartlett ISD covers part of northern Williamson County. The district announced there wouldn't be class Thursday or Friday because of increased flu and other illness reports across the district. During that time, deep cleaning will be done on campuses. District officials say this will also give students and staff time to recover. The school district is closed on Monday for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, so kids go back to school on Tuesday. The CDC estimates there have been at least 15 million flu cases nationwide this season, and more than 7,000 people have died from the flu. If you haven't gotten a flu shot yet, a doctor we spoke with earlier this week said it's not too late.
Yeah, I think we had a massive bump around the holidays, but we're not out of the woods yet. And generally, flu cases can continue to rise and ebb and flow until the end of March. Think about it, though. If you're getting a flu vaccine, it takes about 2 weeks for it to be effective.
According to the CDC, seasonal flu activity remains elevated across the country. That trend is expected to continue for several more weeks. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Mark Mullins.
Hi, I'm Dan Millay, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. We got an update on the economic outlook for the city of Tyler. Speakers say despite the economic landscape, Tyler is doing well, but as CBS 19's Ayanna Aird shares, there are some setbacks.
Texas has led the nation in job growth, outpacing any other state. And right here in East Texas, Dr. Perryman says the region continues to move in the right economic direction despite the nationwide slowdown.
Texas economy has net lost about 10 or 12,000 jobs since May. Tyler's remained very steady. Now you would love to see growth, but in this environment, maintaining that and outperforming the state is pretty impressive.
Dr. Ray Perryman is a Texas economy analyst. He says Tyler's long-term economic foundation is paying off, especially in the health industry.
A lot of investment in the health side with UT Health and with some of the biotech companies and that type of thing.
But growth does not come without challenges. Dr. Perryman says tariffs and immigration are putting pressure on the Texas economy.
There's no question about impacting Texas. It's going to impact Texas for a while longer.
He says fewer workers means slower growth, especially in construction, agriculture, healthcare, and hospitality. With fewer births and an aging population, slower immigration is making it harder for businesses to find workers.
If we educate our kids, nothing can stop us from having a great future.
V. Clark has been in Texas for only 5 years, and in that short time, she's seen the growth firsthand.
He goes from the president all the way down to economy in our town, so it's nice to see that and hear that and be able to relate to it in the way that he expresses his concerns, his thoughts, and his processes.
And as Texas's energy industry continues to evolve, Dr. Perryman says the outlook remains optimistic for East Texans.
We'll get through the current mess, and you know that there's a lot of hope and opportunity out there in the future.
For CBS 19, I'm Ayanna Aird.
After almost 2 months of being closed, the Texas African American Museum is reopening its doors to visitors with new events and exhibits on the way as well. The museum was closed during the holidays, as it is every year. Volunteers have been working to prepare a new exhibit as well as gear up for multiple events focusing on Black History Month and MLK Day. Vice President of Communications Latanya Bell says that while all the preparation is hard, keeping Black history alive is an important part of East Texas history.
We've been on break. We close every year during the same time. We do inventory and go through everything, receive new merchandise. That is what we fought so hard for. And so we want to honor that. We want to continue to fight for that. That's our rights.
Since its opening in 2016, the museum has been dedicated to the preservation of African American history. For many animals, a foster home can be the difference between surviving and finding a forever home. And one East Texas woman is opening her home and her heart to cats that need a second chance. Angelica McFarland has spent years fostering cats for the SPCA of East Texas, giving them a break from the shelter and helping them get ready for their forever homes.
When you foster a cat, it lets you learn about their characteristics and lets you learn a little bit more about how they are and how long it's going to take them to adapt into a home.
And that's primarily what our foster homes do, is they teach these animals how to live with humans, how to be in a home, and it's very rewarding to see them kind of learn that and learn how to become part of a family.
That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Dan Millay.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. At this week's Corpus Christi City Council meeting, the biggest change wasn't on the agenda, it was in the law. The city has removed its "No Guns Allowed" signs following a direct order from the Texas Attorney General. Well, now licensed gun owners can carry into council meetings. As Michael Gibson shows us, one man wasted no time putting that ruling to the test.
The city of Corpus Christi has officially taken down its "No Guns Allowed" signs after the state attorney general ruled the city must allow licensed gun owners into city council meetings. Matthew Rankin didn't wait long to test it. He became the first person to legally carry a handgun into a Corpus Christi City Council meeting. He was wearing a .45 caliber pistol in a holster on his hip.
Corpus has now had the pleasure of being the first ones to receive an enforcement letter from Ken Paxton telling them allow carry and take your signs down or else.
Rankin says the law has been clear for years, but cities around the state resisted based on the advice of the Texas Municipal League.
2 years ago, they deleted that part so that TML couldn't say there's a gray area anymore.
Under the ruling, anyone with a valid carry license from any state can bring a handgun into a meeting.
Anybody with a carry license from any state can now carry their handgun concealed or open into a meeting. Can't bring long rifles or anything.
City Manager Peter Zanoni says the city had no choice but to comply while trying to reduce risk.
So if you're a licensed gun operator, you can now, based on the Attorney General's opinion, come into the City Council when a meeting is going on. When you see somebody come in that's not a police officer or a peace officer that has a gun that can raise concern.
The city says its security measures like metal detectors and checkpoints remain in place, but now security will ask about a firearm and whether or not you have a license to carry.
We're confident in our security forces that we have here at City Hall.
As for Rankin, he says he's just exercising his constitutional rights.
I've just loved the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, and in Texas I get to practice both everywhere.
Well, winter Texans are back in the coastal bend. They're here to escape the cold and enjoy the sunshine that our region has to offer this time of year. And to honor their arrival, Rockport Fulton hosted Winter Texans Day. Many made their way to the city's convention center, connecting with local businesses, healthcare providers, and community organizations. That event highlighting just how important these visitors are while helping to make sure that they have everything they need in order to feel right at home.
Winter Texans are vital to our economy. They get us through the winter, and I'd like to say that everybody that comes here really loves it here. A lot of people have been coming for 20 or 30 years, and the Chamber of Commerce wants to give back and give them the resources they need.
Yeah, no surprise here. Guests came from states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio, and Nebraska. Some of them returning for their annual trip and others experiencing the area for the very first time.
We're having a great time. We are meeting lots of people. We are enjoying the fishing, the weather, the downtown areas. We've been trying to do as much as possible.
Your vendor card.
It is a Coastal Bend tradition that we are proud to continue, and we hope all of our Winter Texans enjoy their stay this season. From Corpus Christi, that's a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.